Hi, everybody. Welcome to a Very Veggie Commentary episode 5? Or it's either 5 or 6. I can't remember. I got someone special with me. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is John Lopez. I am an animator and cartoon creator, and I like to talk to tomatoes and squashes make me smile.
Dang, I didn't know that squashes made you smile.
I mean, don't you like to waltz with potatoes up and down the produce aisle every now and then?
I mean, if you were to actually do that at a grocery store, wouldn't people look at you funny?
Well, I mean, yeah, but
I think they'd be more scared of the sentient giant gourd.
well, no, I'm talking about I always assume that's like, oh, you just like pick up like a potato and you just like dance with it.
Oh,
And like, I mean, hey, like people could like film you and like put you on TikTok and you could become like internet famous. You could be like the next lol cow.
oh, wouldn't that be fun, being internet famous?
Or infamous, depending on how you perceive it. So anyways, we're watching Dave and the Giant Pickle.
And would you like to tell everyone why you chose Dave and the Giant Pickle?
Well, for specifically, as far back as I can remember, Dave and the Giant Pickle has basically been my first comfort film, if that makes any sense. Like, it was my favorite Veggie episode growing up. Like, I grew up in a household where I was barely allowed to watch anything, and Veggies was, like, a very safe bet. So, and it was, like, one of the few shows that I liked that my parents also liked, so I could just watch it without worrying about getting in trouble or whatever. And Dave and the Giant Pickle was my favorite episode. I think, this is, like, the autism speaking, I think it had something, it was solely to do with Goliath. I really like that character, but of course, it's a really fun little story because obviously it's David and Goliath, but they're like, oh, let's make a boxing pickle to make it more quirky.
Did you hear the story about that? How Phil felt that he was ripping off a Listerine commercial?
Well, if it makes him feel better, I create a cartoon called Michael and James, and the character of Michael is heavily inspired off of Goliath. So if Phil's worried about ripping them off, I'm worried. I've been worried about ripping him off for like over a decade now. So, like literally, like if you, like I'm just gonna assume most of the viewers aren't familiar with my work. So basically, Michael is also a sentient pickle. He has like floating hand glove thingies. And he like skids around like, huh. And he even has a low voice. Hey James, what's up? So, yeah, Phil, if you're listening to this, I wouldn't feel bad about the whole plagiarism thing. Everything derives from something.
Oh yeah, hi Phil if you're listening. I forget all the time I'm friends with him.
You forget you're friends with him? Wow, you must be such good friends then.
Yeah, yeah, we have been talking for a while because he started toying around with Blender 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to know people who were big in the industry who are now using Blender. I mean, some of them still use Maya. Like, I talked to someone who was involved with Big Idea back in the 90s who used to, well, obviously, they used to animate for them. They still use Maya, but they've told me, like, they'd love to try out Blender.
Yeah, I've been toying around with Blender for my other animated series, Mad Mutants, johnmaster.com. And I've been making my first little mock-up background stuff for it because one of my artists recommended that. And yeah, I have no experience with Maya, so I have no frame of reference here, but like it's a pretty good, it has a better learning curve, I would imagine, especially given that it's free.
It is expensive, Maya.
I meant to say Blender, sorry.
Oh!
Yeah, no, Blender is like obviously the inexpensive version, hence why there are so many veggie memes being made with Blender nowadays.
And then you have Remolded.
Yes. Honestly, one of the main reasons why I chose Dave and not Rack Shack and Benny was because I'd probably compare Rack to Remolded the entire time, and I don't really want to devalue Big Idea's work, especially given that there was only a handful of people in an abandoned screw factory at the time. So you gotta cut him some slack.
Yeah, I had done a commentary recently. We were watching Madame Blueberry, and I told my guest, it was someone who worked at Sega, surprisingly. I told him that one of the people who worked at Big Idea, they were like working at 3 a.m. and they snuck in a bong in Jonah.
That sounds amazing. I have to find it. I mean, then again, didn't they hide like a lot of things in Jonah? Like, I remember Phil saying like there was like a barrel on the pirate ship that was filled with fish, and you never see it.
I think so.
Like, I'm pretty sure the pirate ship was like one giant set that they would just...
It was
Yeah,
before
yeah.
they knew about, like, oh, you should model different sets separately.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot of
I'm gonna be
rendering
real,
time.
like, again, I'm not gonna like devalue any of Big Idea's work by any means. Like, it was really cool what they were able to do given their limitations and stuff, but honestly, I feel like Remolded, official or not, was the best VeggieTales has ever looked. Like, I'm being completely serious about that.
I hope it has an impact on any future VeggieTales content to where they're like, oh, people love the 90-ish aesthetic. Why don't we bring that back? But like in a modern sort of way, like what Remolded did.
Yeah, but that would require them caring about the brand and spending money.
Yeah.
Oh, we're watching a film. We should probably talk about that. So anyways, Larry Boy, he was really cool. It was really cool to see his debut here. And also, quick comment on, this is like way ahead, I know, but like when Bob said, wow, I didn't know being a superhero could be so painful. Looks at literally any comic book ever.
Yeah. You know about the Bat Bob story, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we don't need to cover up on that, I guess. Oh, there goes a sheep.
Well, I mean, we could, like, for the audience member watching who doesn't know. Like, so basically, from what I understand, at one point, since Phil was coming up with, okay, what kind of stuff could I parody with this VeggieTales thing back in the 90s? And he was thinking, oh, I could parody Batman. I'm going to do... Okay, so he wanted to do a teaser where, like, there's, like, a little figure on top of a building.
Yeah.
And it's, like, at night. And he's, like, looking at the camera like, I'm Bat Bob. And then the cape just, like, pops off and flies off, and he's, like, hopping around like, will help? And then he wanted Larry to be Robin, for obvious reasons. And I think it was derivative off of Boy Wonder. Feel free to correct me at any time, Nintega. He wanted Larry to be Robin, or Boy Wonder, hence the name Larry Boy. But then he used, like, the Larry Boy concept for this, and then he decided, oh, I'm going to make a whole Larry Boy thing, and I'm just going to make him Batman, because it'd be funny to make the comic relief character try to be super serious.
I mean, when you really think about it, they did technically make Bob into sort of a Batman-type character later on with Thingamabob.
Yeah, but he got more of a backseat than Larry Boy.
Yeah.
Let's be real, Larry Boy is the real star of that.
That was one of the things that bothered me, though. Like, League itself, when that episode came out, it was alright, but it wasn't until they started forcing the League into almost everything Larry Boy did where it got really annoying.
I'm gonna be real, I don't really pay attention to VeggieTales stuff, like, that was, like, released past 2006, really? Because, like, I'm gonna be completely honest, I mostly care about, like, the pre-bankruptcy stuff with, like, a few exceptions.
I totally
like,
get you.
Like, the quality didn't, like, drop immediately, I would say. It's just, like, it gradually over time, it became more and more cut-cornery, and, like, in the later stuff especially, it became, like, a bit too juvenile for my taste.
Yeah, I totally get you on that. Especially in the 2010s. It got very...
God.
They decided, oh, we want to do this, but we want our target audience to be little girls now. It's like, that's not how VeggieTales should work. It should be for the entire family. No matter.
Yeah, like, it's like any other kids show that's, frankly, good. Just make it, like, appropriate for the target audience, but, like, if you can make it, like, enjoyable for the other audience, like, it would have a longer shelf life essentially, and you would be able to make more money off of it
Yeah.
rather than just making a couple episodes, like put it out on Netflix and then write it off as a tax write-off a few years later.
They wrote off the Netflix show as a tax write-off?
Oh, no. I was just saying that as an example because that's like a
that would have been something new. I would have thought, I'm like, huh? Wow, okay.
I mean, I wish they did.
Yeah, I feel like the Netflix show really took away from the formula, because I wish DreamWorks would have just kept doing the countertop stuff on Netflix.
Yeah, but that'll require the creators actually being involved, and clearly they didn't want to do that.
I guess.
For worse.
Yeah.
All right, anyways, French peas. I really like these guys.
Yeah, and originally these weren't Jean-Claude and Philippe. It was Jean-Claude and Stas?
Christophe,
Christophe.
It took me the longest time to make that connection. When I was younger, I always thought that was just Philippe. I always thought that was Mike Naraki doing the voice. Or Phil Vischer, I should say. My bad. Mike Naraki is Jean-Claude.
Oh, here comes trouble. Also, those water physics for the time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is in the 90s in Softimage.
Yeah, that's very impressive. I wonder how if Baylina Productions, aka Steve, gave a shit about VeggieTales.
I would love to do one of these with Steve. I was actually considering asking him if he'd like to do one.
That'd be cool. But I was saying, like, I feel like he would go crazy over that Jurassic Park reference. Also, Goliath. I love Goliath.
Yeah, we just see Goliath now. We got Larry singing about lips.
Yeah.
I love how they made the most out of so little. Like, they just put 2 boards in the back and the countertop, and that's enough to make it feel like he's in therapy.
But to be fair, that's what VeggieTales is all about, making the most of what little you have.
Yeah, less is more.
To make something out of it. Exactly, yeah. Which is why the irises and, to an extent, eyebrows didn't really work as well, is because they were too detailed and they looked crazy.
Yeah,
frankly.
It's so weird because, like, I'm looking at this. It feels more like it has more variety than what the VeggieTales show has, because that was on stage, and it just didn't sit right because it felt so linear in its visuals, because the whole time you knew that they were playing characters and that everything was a set.
Wait, I'm confused. Are you talking about VeggieTales Live?
No. The series, the VeggieTales show, 2019.
Oh, yeah, honestly, that's my issue with VeggieTales show as well. Like, I didn't watch it anywhere near as much as I did the original series, and honestly, I feel like I remember Phil saying, like, there were, like, pacing issues, and I have to agree with him. Like, it felt too slow at times.
Yeah,
and,
because they told him that they wanted to slow down everything. Phil and Mike originally had it going like regular VeggieTales, but there was intervening. They broke their promise to give them full creative control.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's what happens when you sell off a idea, whether you intend to or are forced to through circumstance.
I still feel bad for Phil that he signed that paper.
Yeah, I was always confused why he did that, but like
I feel like it was like in the moment he was going through a lot already and he wasn't thinking clearly, I guess.
I mean, it happens. Like, I mean, I'm just glad he's like still making stuff.
Oh yeah, the Phil and Mike show looks exciting.
Like, honestly, if the VeggieTales show had pacing and writing like that, it would have been fine. Well, the writing was similar.
It was good. They were just they slowed down the pacing. It was very, and the animation didn't help either. Very not squishy.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yesterday I had an epiphany. So I have a headcanon for the VeggieTales show. You know how they have, like, Mr. Nezzer have a different voice actor because they didn't want to be racist or whatever?
Yeah.
So, headcanon time. The David Mann Mr. Nezzer is Wally P from the Christmas special.
That's what I was saying, too! I literally told this to a friend.
Oh, cool. So we have the same idea.
Yes!
Wally P is David Mann, and Phil Vischer is Nebby K, and they both share the same theater. Awesome. Cool.
That'd be great if that was like, if Phil's just like, yeah, that's the canon.
Well, I mean, did they explicitly say he was Nebby K?
No.
Well, there you go. problem solved. And they replaced a lot of voice actors on that show anyway, so...
Yeah, I did not like... I mean, Ickabeezer wasn't a bad character on the Netflix show, but it didn't sit right.
Alright, so anyways, Goliath. I really had a really strong hyperfixation on this character in particular when I was a kid. It was the biggest reason why I liked Dave and the Giant Pickle.
Yeah?
I guess it's just one of those autistic things where, like, oh, it's a character. He has, like, kind of a cool design, in my opinion. I really
He
like
does!
him.
He's...
And,
it explains so much why they brought him back later.
I'm glad they did. Like, honestly, I'm glad that they used him in Remolded. I liked how they used him as, like... Okay, so, like, he's, like, this guy who's, like, big for no reason, like, context aside. He's just, like, a goon-like character, and he's, like, grumpy all the time. That's how I like Goliath. Like, that's another complaint I had about the VeggieTales show, is that I feel like they made him a little too happy and joy-free, when I'm like, that is not the vibe I got from that guy at all.
Now, I don't know what his voice was inspired by. I always go back to, like, the Terminator.
My brother thought the same thing, but I just assume Phil was just doing, like, some low voice with, like, some vaguely European accent, like, "Who will I fight?" You know?
Yeah, it's just funny that this is, like, one of the first instances where they're like, yes, these characters have invisible hands.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the boxing gloves. Also,
They're using the Holy Spirit to hold things.
Also, Larry, you're eating corn.
Yes, he is.
Oh boy. But we know the lore, right? If it's not animated, it's fine.
Now I do.
I thought... yeah.
All I heard was, like, there were no consistent rules in Veggies early on, and they were just making it up as they go along. It was clear, like, in the Promised Land song, like, it was, like, I remember Phil saying, I'm just gonna try to come up with foods that veggies can eat that would be, like, not disturbing.
Well, that doesn't help with the grape slushies.
Yeah, like pizza. Well, they didn't explicitly say it was grape, plus it's artificial flavoring. But yeah, look, it's pizza.
Artificial. How do they know what grape tastes like? Uh-oh.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know. But also, yeah, pizza. That's not made out of anything, surely. I used to think those throw pills were Cheez-Its.
Wait, cheese?
Cheez-Its. Like the little snacks.
Oh, that water physic. That spit take is like the best thing in this episode, in my opinion.
Oh my god, I love it. It's very well done.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're getting at now with the throw pillows. I didn't even notice those there. I do feel some of this was reused from the first episode, unless they modeled brand new things.
I mean, I would at least assume they used the same Darius model and just used different textures.
Well, I was talking about like those pots in the background.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this was like I said, they had a handful of people and had the budget of a ham sandwich, so it's entirely possible.
A ham sandwich.
I mean, yeah, like...
I did love seeing this live when I was little. Seeing
Goliath
come out was the craziest thing.
I have very shoddy memories of the initial VeggieTales live show. I did go to it. I just remember very little. I remember Goliath wasn't revealed until the climactic fight.
Wait, you went?
Yeah, I went, but like I have like very shoddy memories of it.
Me
unfortunately, too. I remember his reveal was like it was just like a shadow, and he was like, "Who would I fight?" And everyone was like running around freaking out. And I remember on the hills they used like little puppets for the characters.
Yeah.
Instead of the costumes.
I do remember the shadow too. And I used to think Goliath was bigger, like they used a prop, but no, it was a costume, 14 feet tall.
I feel bad for the person who was in the costume.
Well, the irony is the person in the junior costume had ended up getting a bulging disc in their back.
Oh, yeah, that's no bueno.
Because you gotta keep in mind, like, these characters had battery packs, they had cameras inside too, and fans to keep them inflated.
Fun.
I'm sure Goliath was very light for how big he was, because the person just had to look out of his belt buckle.
Archibald's reaction when he says, "Oh dear."
Oh my. Ah.
Very, very appropriate response. That's a really good shot.
Yeah, it is. They really did a lot with the water. For being 5 months of development, they did a great job.
I was also really happy to hear that this production went smoothly compared to other ones, even though they clearly don't have much consistency between shots. As you can see with Jimmy and Jerry switching around positions.
I just noticed that when Junior was hopping up to like the front, Goliath's warts were gone.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that. I always assumed it was like a rendering thing. Oh, one thing I've noticed is that Archibald's pupils were gone in that shot.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Everything happens so fast, you miss things. I think
exactly.
They got away with a lot.
Yeah, you miss it. That's why they didn't come in and fix it, because they probably missed it too.
Yeah, it's crazy because like when I animate these characters, the hard thing is keeping the mounts into the body because sometimes they'll go invisible. So like I'll catch it after I render a shot, and I'll be like, "Dang it, I gotta wait all those hours again."
Yeah, that's like I would imagine that's the crux of position when it comes to the CG.
Have you when it happens in VeggieTales during this time? I've noticed it a couple times. A question mark appears on their face.
Yeah, I remember seeing something like that. I think one slipped by in Fifth from Outer Space for like a frame on Lenny when he was like running towards Junior when he was mad at him.
Yeah.
But thankfully it didn't really happen too often back then. I guess it's just a softy mosh thing where it's like, oh, does not compute. I don't know what this is.
Oh, it's the swing wing. I don't know if you got that joke. There was a commercial where you put this helmet on your head and you do whatever Junior's doing. And it had
now I get it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I put the little song over it, and it actually sunk up with everything.
Amazing. So, like, does this version of Goliath die? Or does he just get, like, a concussion?
I think he gets... I don't know. I think he just gets knocked unconscious. I love that. They just have the graduation hat.
Yeah. It's very fitting because a couple of my friends are graduating from uni soon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I dropped out of community college a while ago.
Have you noticed for the most part you could see the whites, like the eye whites through the eyelids?
Yeah, I'm assuming that was like how the eyes were modeled back then.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. They make such a touching thing just hilarious any chance they have.
Yeah, and it's like not like an overbearing joke. Like that's the important thing to do.
Yeah, like in Stand when they had Larry crash off screen.
Now it's time to talk about what we learned today. What did we learn today, Nintega?
We learned that
We learned that I ripped off VeggieTales to make one of my stuff. Please don't sue me.
Yes, of course. How could I forget? We also learned that vegetables can eat pizza from whatever
Pizza plants.
Pizza planet.
Plants. Like it grows from the ground.
My question is, I want to know what? Well, not really a question, then a want. I want to know what that pizza place is with the lion.
Maybe it's like Lion's Den Pizza or something, if you had to give it a name.
After all, he was just a little guy. Why, even King Saul tried to change David by putting his own armor on him. It kind of reminds me of another guy who thought he had to put on a costume to be special. Yeah.
Sometimes it helps. Sometimes you just need it. That's why we have Comic-Con.
Yep. That's what Larry originally made it for, but he was like, oh, I'm going to play around with it on the countertop because I don't feel special.
I was thinking for a con, because I made a custom bunny hat. I was thinking of dressing up like someone who works at Mr. Nezer's chocolate factory.
That would have been cool, actually.
Yeah, I just need a polka dot tie.
Special just the way you are.
Yeah, I think that would have worked.
Let's see if Qwerty has a birthday
I think what's crazy is they didn't plan on doing anything with Larry after this until, like...
for us.
I think that was initially what it was. They just wanted to do a one-off with Larry Boy for this.
All things are possible.
I think so too, if memory serves correctly.
Oh, we can see more of the kitchen. I want to know the full layout. We never get to see it.
I guess we'll never know, because I'm assuming the animation file for the countertop is lost to time.
You see, God wanted the Israelites to
I mean, I'm sure I could ask Phil and he could draw it out for me.
fight even though David was just
if he remembers.
wanted him to beat Goliath.
I mean, it wouldn't be the same.
That showed just how much David trusted God.
Yeah, I don't think it would be the same.
Great king for
Yeah, I think this is the most we see of the kitchen is in here.
Oh,
in the
we
second
got some of
episode.
Larry's clothes clipping inside.
and Myra. I hope that makes you
I was able
Have
to...
you-
Yeah?
Have you noticed that with the early model for Larry Boy, it almost seems like they don't like add like an extra layer of geometry for the clothes.
Yeah, they
It's
just changed
like,
it yellow and purple. Like Larry's body.
pretend to be whoever you
I mean, that's good with cheating the...
are. Out of time for today. Remember,
what do you call it?
and he loves you.
I mean, I've heard of skin type, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that explains the bumping. The bump map.
Okay.
Also, a quick tangent. I've never really liked how they changed how his helmet looks. Bad Apple moving forwards. I always prefer the original.
Yeah, I do prefer Rumor Weeds Larry Boy.
Yeah, Rumor Weeds looks really
Well,
nice.
that and how he looked in Jonah.
Yes, that was a really good Larry Boy model.
And we talked through the credits, too. Also, look at that geometry inside the plunger.
I mean, yeah, if it's going to be, like, on the screen for prolonged periods of time, like, it would be practical to have...
I think that was intentional, though.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Man, usually people don't like the credits. But, I mean,
it's nice to see who worked on these things.
I'm talking about, like, when you're a kid, you're not usually invested in the credits. But, like, that made... Oh, wow, that was short. Those were short credits.
I mean, they don't call it half an hour for a reason.
Oh, yeah, that's literal. Well, I guess that's it for our commentary.
I guess so.
Jeez. Well, John, thanks for joining me for this episode. Man, my voice is cracking.
It happens. And thanks for having me. It was lovely.
That was wonderful. Until next time, folks.
Goodbye.